Hi there, I'm Ken Lammers. Welcome to Minor League Matters, and this is this week's soccer report for the United States and Canada, obviously. We're going to start out. The big news this week, of course, is that FIFA awarded the World Cup 2026 to the United States, Canada, and Mexico, right? It's a big deal, obviously, although I really seriously wish the United States would stop being focused solely on this one every 4 year tournaments and focus more on local soccer and being greedy about keeping talent here and making it better in the United States, right? The obsession with this one tournament, which I realize has provided really good press for the U.S. in the past, um, and gotten soccer somewhat forward. But the obsession with this one tournament is not healthy and ends up with everybody thinking we've got to send all our talent, any good talent has got to go to Europe so they can, uh, you know, compete with top five players and therefore be good in this one tournament every 4 years. That's not productive when you're trying to make the sport come up in your nation and trying to make the sport the best in the world in your nation. Obviously, I know that U.S. soccer is not going to be the best probably in my lifetime, but you need to start working that way so that 20, 30, 40 years from now, it is the best, right? Um, and that's my rant on that for the moment. I am kind of happy 2026 will happen. It will grow the sport some, and it's a sport that deserves to grow, right? Okay, so having said that about growing the sport, USL just announced that New Mexico is going to have a team starting next year. This is a good thing. It's going to be in Albuquerque. It's going to at least initially play in the Isotope Stadium, which is a baseball stadium, which can work pretty well. Louisville's made it work okay. It's an interesting. You can have seats that are close, and you have seats that are really far away. So it kind of works out in an interesting way. Uh, Eventually, I think the plan is to build a stadium, 10,000 seat stadium. We'll see how long it takes to do that. But the playing in a baseball stadium is not a terrible deal. They released a hype video and it's on YouTube, so I would, go watch the New Mexico hype video, right? Um, it's pretty interesting. It is kind of funny that in parts where they're hyping soccer, they have guys wearing Pittsburgh Pirate hats, and they have they featuring the Isotope Stadium and all that. It's like, yeah, okay, we know baseball's there, and I'm a baseball fan, but you would have thought they would have kind of tried to avoid pointing that out. Anyway, it's going to be a good counterbalance. USL has done what they've done a lot when they're trying to grow things and not just take in affiliated teams with the MLS. They're going to have this team in Albuquerque, and they're going to have a team in El Paso for natural rivalry, right? This is USL has been really smart about this. They've tried to bring teams in that are going to be close enough that they can have a rivalry, as opposed to the MLS, which provides huge zones within which there is no two teams, right? The reason I'm convinced that Columbus is gone now is because they've done FC Cincinnati is going to move into the MLS, and then we'll see how FC Cincinnati fares when they become mediocre in the MLS. Uh, but I've already done a video on that. Let's move on and talk about where things stand in the USL right now. In the USL right now, there are 5 teams that have winning records, and the 2 in the East are FC Cincinnati, who stands at 8 wins and 6 non-wins, and Louisville City, that stands at 7 wins and 4 non-wins. Now, FC Cincinnati is on top in the East, but Louisville has played 3 fewer games. So whenever they catch up, I'm pretty sure that Louisville is actually going to end up on top here. And we'll see. It all has to be played out. But as so far as it seems that Louisville is the better team of those two, not to say FC Cincinnati isn't good, because they are, but Louisville I think is better. Uh, Louisville may be the best team in the entire USL. That's just my opinion, though, and that 50 cents can probably buy you a cup of coffee. But in the West, we've got the real Monarchs, who are up, and they've got a 10-4 record, 10 wins and 4 non-wins. And then both Sacramento Republic and the Portland Timbers 2 have an 8-7 record, 8 wins, 7 non-wins, and they are both, it is Real Monarchs are 3 points ahead of Sacramento, which is then 2 points ahead of Portland Timbers 2. And, that may turn out to be a pretty tight race. I think that both Sacramento and Portland have actually played one more game than the Real Monarchs. So we are going to see how that plays out in the end. The gap may actually be bigger than it appears to be currently. Yes, I know that they would prefer I didn't pronounce it real, but until you show me some sort of paperwork where the Spanish noble family has given their imprimatur to the teams out there, I'm not going to call them by Real. They're real. And that's what they're going to be. Sorry, folks. In the MLS, we have, I think, 4 teams that have winning records. And in the East, you've got Atlanta United, who is pretty much beating everybody else up, has a 10-6 record, 10 wins, 6 non-wins. And you have New York City FC, which has 8 wins, 7 non-wins. And Atlanta United is 5 points above them. And in third place is Columbus Crew. So Crew's still out there playing strong. More power to them. Save the Crew. Even though it looks like there's now talk of moving them to possibly Sacramento, which I'm sure the people who own the Republic are thrilled to hear about. But, we'll see what happens with them. I'm fairly sure that the opening of Cincinnati is probably a sign that the Crew are gone, or either that or it is an amazing move by MLS where they actually set up a rivalry that's close enough that the people will actually pay attention to it. We'll see. I would really like to see it be number 2, but having seen the MLS and having seen how soccer is slowly succeeding in the United States despite the MLS, I'm doubtful that the MLS has made that smart a move. Okay, rant gone. Let's get moving on to something else again. And the MLS West, you have Sporting Kansas City. They're 8-7, 8 wins, 7 non-wins. And you have FC Dallas, which is 8-6. Obviously, FC Dallas has played 1 game fewer, so they'll catch up and see where it is. I think they're both at 29 points as it stands, so they're tied. Probably after another match or 2, FC Dallas, well, assuming FC Dallas is able to at least tie one, they'll move ahead. That's the soccer report for this week, folks. Until next week, let me say the things I always say. If you like this, hit like. If you like what you see around here generally, hit subscribe and then go watch everything 9 million times. Because that's the only way I'm ever going to make money on this hobby from YouTube, because they've basically made it impossible to make money on things anymore. And if you want to contact me directly, at LammersK on Twitter, send me direct messages at LA2MsERSK. Leave comments below. Tell me why I'm right. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm an idiot. I promise I'll try to read them all. I cannot promise that I will answer them because, as I said, this is a hobby that comes from the heart, right? But I have to work the day job in order to do the hobby. So, it kind of takes some time out of my day. So, answering comments doesn't always happen. Beyond that, I've just got one last thing to say, the thing I always say. If you got a little bit of time and you got a little bit extra money, go watch the minor league sports. I'll see you all next week.